Also, just because it's funny and the idea amuses me somewhat, Dagny's currently sleeping in a bed the right size for Garrock. So, it's a long ass bed.
King bed.
Dude, that's a
It's like a
California king over there,
It's like a
dog.
California king single.
Is Garrick just like posted up on a table or something?
I mean, as long as it's elevated off the floor, yeah. Like, he'll sleep
sleeps
on a
in a-
bedroll.
He
in a
dampened
pile
the
of burned
flames.
books.
He just dampened the flames a little bit on his forge. He just sleeps in there because it's warm.
I mean,
In any case,
yeah.
to quickly get everybody back up to speed, because it's only been a couple of days, we had everybody set off on their own errands after seeing Obosh come back to life and give some crazy details on what actually happened in your initial days of being cartographers, seeing the future. We had Rin go off on his own towards the Inquisition, where he sequestered himself away in a particularly fancy and capable forge and created I forgot the exact name I gave for it, but a crystal that allows the holder to project images through the conduit to illustrate things in greater detail.
No,
And it has
speak well. Make
yeah,
brain do
it has a 5-foot cube range on it, so you can create some pretty sizable illusions on there.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Meanwhile, we had some interesting developments in a bookstore. It was Gerda's Shop of Curious Pages, if I remember correctly.
I don't think we got the name of the shop.
No, somebody
Did I
else.
asked it?
Did
She
you?
told you.
Yeah.
Ah.
Where you obtained some interesting tomes with useful knowledge, and met a young lad by the name of Lars, who had recently come closer to the interior after his homestead was jeopardized by the increasing hostilities outside the walls. Maerx eventually went off afterwards towards his own homestead, and had an interesting conversation with his father, and got some well-needed rest in his old room. Meanwhile, Garrock did a lot of the same, heading to his own homestead in the company of Dagny, where they took a rest and did some work in the forge, where Garrick communed with an otherworldly presence that disturbed Dagny to great effect, where a few pieces of knowledge were gained on the cracked piece of stone still in your possession. While deciding the next course of action with it is yet to be truly seen. Rin, being stood up by everybody, eventually went back to the singing ring where he crashed for the night, having much of his anger quelled, at least for the immediate time being, by a conversation with Thistle on what it means to be a part of Highshire, and if it even means anything.
Alcohol.
And alcohol.
No, that was a joke at the end. They didn't actually drink.
We don't get an angry daddy when we get back. I'm sad.
Oh, you're gonna get angry, alright.
I want angry drunk father, not angry father.
God, I don't want to
I
be
can
so
beat up
pessimist.
drunk dad.
And we will pick things up exactly where we had left off, with the passing of night, where everyone gets very well-deserved rest, and being able to sleep in an actual bed is a very welcome change for having to sleep on bedrolls, just in a crevice away from imminent danger on the outer lands. Which eventually would bring us into the AM, where Rin, having set yourself away in the upper levels of the singing ring, often a room that was generously provided by the barkeep, and without further ado, you had the room to yourself, you would slowly come to as the first signs of light of dawn are crackling through the window pane, and you would slowly awaken into your own faculties.
We kind of skimmed over this last time, but the damaged tank, I repaired that.
In full.
All okay, so that's all taken care of. Yeah, I'll definitely, obviously, get up as you said. Everything is already nice and set away, and I'll head back down to the ground floor, see if I can get some recce. Because I've been sustaining myself on shit rations for a very long time.
A day.
Oh, yes. You would do so, and you would when your heavy footfalls would head down the creaky wooden steps as you shake each board with every step getting down onto the base floor, where you see the morning commute. Many people settling down for a wide range of very appealing looking breakfasts. It seems like they have quite the selection around here. And even through your suit, somehow the aroma of good food would permeate your senses and would definitely increase your appetite. It seems like people are mostly to themselves, low circles that seem to be lost in conversation. Some are discussing what you can imagine to be the latest transgressions with everything happening with the walls and all the turmoil in between. There's a noticeable decrease in people loud and being merry and laughing. A lot of the conversation seems to be more stern-faced. And of course, the barkeep would be working his station. Seems like he never gets a rest. And
He's an elven guy, right?
yes,
It's the same guy we've been dealing with thus far.
yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a spot at the bar, because I imagine people are eating there as well. Off to the side on a stool.
You would. You would sit down next to a halfling lad who gives you a strange look as you sit down beside him, almost intimidated by your size, even for someone like himself that's used to it, but doesn't make any commentary of it. He slowly goes back to eating what appears to be scrambled eggs.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and bring out my notebook, conjure a made hand, and kind of. I was having a problem with those braces, and obviously still need measurements, but I feel like there's some work I could do while eating. So set the notebook aside, have a mage hand, kind of write up some schematics as I wait for somebody to take the order.
Ah, and easily done. The people next to you would give a prying eye, seeing that you're able to do one thing while having your own mage hand do another in precision of writing, which definitely seems to be a spectacle that some people are pretty impressed by. It would only be a couple short moments before the barkeep would notice you and would walk up and give you a warm smile and a nod. I assume that the bed treated you well? You had a good sleep?
It has, thank you, and good morning to you as well.
Yeah, as good of a morning as it can be. I assume you're looking to fill your belly.
Yes, indeed, it's been quite a while since I've had the opportunity to eat something other than the provided rations. If you have something solid, it would be appreciated.
Yeah, most of it is solid. The liquids tend to be alcoholic around here. Well, we do have a wide arrangement of egg platters. There's a fine honeyed bread, which we could serve as well, with some eggs on the side, perhaps. Would be pretty good for keeping yourself feeling filled, especially if you have a long hike ahead of you, which I imagine someone of your persuasion just might today.
Just the bread will suffice. Thank you.
You got it, big man. And of course, free of charge. You do enough for everyone already.
Again, thank you. On that note, I don't believe I caught your name.
Name's Sean. I've been running this place for... Man, how many years has it been? Probably close to 30 now. It's for never really getting much outside of these four walls. You certainly see a lot in a place like this.
I would imagine so. For what it is worth, your establishment is quite nice. And once again, I thank you for the hospitality you have shown me.
And you for everything that you do. Going out there is not easy. And with that, he would fill in the order and would send it to the back. And seems to be on his way to handling the next patron who is flagging him down.
Yeah, I imagine just I'll spend the time working on those schematics, and when the bread does come, obviously I'll break it into pieces, put it through the airlock port, and numb on that intermittently, while every so often glancing towards the door, awaiting the Chucklefuck Squadron.
Wet bread. Tasty. Glub, glub. Just him in his suit like a fish. Just yum.
I'm still not entirely convinced he's not just a very elaborate goldfish.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it would be quite delicious. Some of the better food that you've had in quite some time. And you would take it to yourself to enjoy it. And over time, there would be people shuffling in and out. Even with a smaller crowd here, there's still quite a lot of foot traffic. At one point, you hear kind of a table get almost knocked over as you look over, and you can see that there's this burly-looking half-orc who stumbled into the tavern, and he would walk straight up to the barkeep, and you slams both of his hands onto the bar, and he starts doing the kind of a repeated smacking motion on the table, trying to get the bartender's attention. And he's kind of doing a bit of a whistling too. Hey, 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 strongest stuff. Let's go. Come on, come on. And Sean, as you would come to know his name, gives an immediate look of conviction and would tilt his head a little at this guy. Really, strongest stuff. Are you sure you can handle that in your current state? You would see he does have a bit of a wobble to him. It's like, oh, don't you screw around with me. Or there's good stuff in there and I want it. Sean would shake his head for a little while. I have the right to refuse service to someone who is not within their right mind. And you, my good friend, strike me as the kind who has already had too much. First thing in the morning, mind you. Either you've been partying all night, or you start off the day wrong. Either way, no. And this bickering would continue. He would be a bit persistent, but Sean is quick to shut him down. He would eventually stumble off and would slam the door open and walk out, which you find a little bit odd.
I wish I was there. I'd give him a drink of mine.
It's the ass crack of dawn. Don't you have work? But yeah, I will obviously leave him to diffuse that situation and not make it worse by attempting to intervene in any way, and just continue working on schematics and eating.
Okay, roll perception as you're doing all this.
Okay, yeah. I'll definitely say that, Seeker's just not hovering, but just perched on the table a bit away from me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, perception. I did want to have him perched facing the door so he could just notify me if any of my team actually fucking arrives. But
okay.
Perception.
Damn.
There we go. I'll say this incorporates both you and Seeker as you're going about doing work while having Seeker keep an eye out for friendly faces. One thing you would notice shortly into Seeker going about his post is standing outside the door when this drunk fellow comes in. You did notice there was a curious figure that was about 30 to 40 feet off from the door that had their arms crossed and were looking dead on at the door and a bit into the bar. Kind of bit of a watchful posture. Bit of a kind of dark trappings in a hood per se. He's a bit strange, you think. And you would notice after all of that interesting interaction takes place and the drunk orc would stammer out, that figure's still there, watching the door very intently. And with the very brief window of those doors being open, you can see that with your good perception check through Seeker, these eyes are scanning the crowd on the inside.
From the glimpse I saw of that figure, do they appear to be with the Inquisition in any shape or form?
No. No, you can tell they're nothing like the Inquisitors.
Yeah. Rin at first dismisses it as not their fucking problem, but yeah, this is some suspicious behavior. So they'll keep half an eye on them as they're awaiting the team.
Yeah. With little else going on, you would continue your work, enjoy your meal, and would have a relatively peaceful morning. Meanwhile,
Oh shit.
Meanwhile, in a parallel dimension.
Who gets the meanwhile?
Yeah, which meanwhile are we going with first? Let's find out.
I think it's you, buddy. I hope it's you.
across Highshire,
Fuck!
You fought wrong.
You thought
there would be two others wakening up after a long-needed rest.
Yes!
It would be Dagny and Garruk.
Never mind, you fought correctly.
Bitch.
And Dagny, you would wake up a little bit earlier than usual, having this chill that remains in the forge despite the heat source, and the occasional unexplained rattling of chains from above you, far off into the distant corners of the Forge of Self-Reliance. And you feel like you've gotten just about as much sleep as you can, although you do wake up a good sum of time before Garruk, so it seems.
just peeking out there, like, did Garrick sleep outside this room, or did it seem like he slept somewhere else?
So, under one of the workshop tables is basically a rectangular, like, square sort of setup, and what he seems to have done is just basically pulled out what is essentially a stone cot that actually just has normal stuff in it that's long enough for him. It's basically his guest bed, essentially, that he's just been sleeping in.
Okay.
And still continues to do so. Quite quietly. You know, in fact, I think the forge, even the dull embers seem to crackle more than the noise that he makes while sleeping. For such a big lad, he's very quiet.
Does he still have his mask on?
That is a good question, actually. We're gonna go with no. But he is turned towards the wall, so his face isn't immediately apparent. He is very starkly pale, though, from what bit of the face you can see.
I mean, you wear a gimp suit all day.
I will say she's very stiff this morning. She's gonna try and quietly get up, grabbing her cane along the way, and just kind of quietly as she can and as physically possible, try and get a little bit closer to see his face.
Stealth check.
Alright, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. If you're sneaking on just to not awaken him, let's see what your stealth roll dictates.
Nope.
You would get out of this bed, and it's a lot more rugged than you're used to in terms of the beds that you've slept in countless times. And just taking your first swing of your lower half to get up would make a good ruckus that echoes through this forge. And of course, these walls are very resonant. There's nothing soft to not amplify even the smallest of noises, so it would make a good sum of noise that Garruk, it would be enough to signal that rise and shine it is.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a shuffle. You just hear the of somebody coming to consciousness.
Just stock still.
Oh yeah. If you want breakfast, chances are those two are upstairs and awake already. One of them's an early riser usually. See if you
He's
can
still
get breakfast out of them.
he's still lying down facing away from me when he says this?
Yeah, he just literally lifts his arms and just vaguely points to the stairs.
Just fuck off.
It's
get
quite
to
clear
it.
he's not immediately getting out of bed.
Okay, well. Just being respectful that he's still trying to sleep, she's gonna go ahead and get up and make her way towards the stairs, but she's gonna try and at least glance at his face before she goes up.
All right. I will say, just roll perception to see if you can get the right angle here in the way you methodically move towards the exit.
11.
Regrettably, and Garrick, just correct me if I'm wrong, you're actively keeping your face away from her? Is
For
the
the
idea?
well, yeah, I'm not gonna show it to her if I can help it, both because it's well, quite frankly, none of her business, and second of all, it's not something she might want to even see.
With that check, you don't get a very good look. It seems as though Garrick is, while a big guy, you really have nothing more than the back of his head where you can see a head of hair. Black, short hair, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
A bit ruffled up, given that he's been sleeping on the floor all night, and due to the extra ruffle, getting actual features of the face is obfuscated, minus the external roundabout of just very alabaster skin.
Is his mask like right next to him?
It's basically on the table right above him.
Just fucking take it from him. This is my medical mask now.
I think she just kind of glances at it. And glances back at him. And then very carefully makes her way upstairs.
Okay.
I'd say give it like 5-10 minutes afterwards. Garrick would come up afterwards as well. But,
Gotcha.
yeah, there's some time between that, basically.
Yeah. I will say that the way to ascend is identical to the picture where there's this very large, heavy set. It's mostly a ladder. It's very steep stairs. So for all intents and purposes, you would be climbing your way up.
Mm-hmm.
And behind a closed door, as you get to the top, you would come out towards the entry area where kind of the main congregation is. The offshoot has the shop per se, where in the morning light you can now see there's several rows of potion bottles that are filled with a variety of different substances, both liquid, solid, or otherwise. And you get the idea that this is definitely a alchemist's area of some form. And you can see on shelves there's bundles of various ingredients, both naturally picked and perhaps synthesized. It seems that Elmon is quite wise to his craft. And you would also hear some voices coming from outside, out on the porch area. This is behind a closed door, so it's kind of hard to make out details, but you do catch a earful of conversation as you would approach and do hear some of the words.
Oh, of course, of course. It's nice to have someone like you here. I've always wondered about how things work over there. It's just, I mean, don't take this the wrong way. Maybe I wasn't expecting such pleasantries, but it's good to see that we're all in such good hands. Of course. And thank you for having me.
I'm gonna
After
try and
all.
crack open the door.
You would do so, and you're at an angle such where you can get a good look at the people talking. And you would recognize the louder voice that was talking is, in fact, Aelmon, who, as you peek through the door, he is, in fact, in his old rocking chair. And he's facing away from you, his back is to you, as there is someone in another chair opposite to him that is talking back. And you would catch a glimpse of a crimson red cape and a glimmer of golden hair. It's a Coda.
Yeah, I will very carefully open the door.
All right. I assume you're coming out to say hi?
Yes.
You would do so. Out of there. And oh, that stopped. Interesting.
Just to double check, there's not supposed to be music going on right now, yeah?
There is. Do you not hear it?
Shit.
Have you not heard any music for the past 10
I've heard
minutes?
music. It's just, is
The
there supposed to
music
be
just stopped for me.
Yeah.
It just stopped.
Okay.
Interesting. How about this?
No.
Might have to refresh.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and preload this.
Just making sure we're on the same thing. You were playing the do 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 do.
Yeah, you
that
you
one?
can hear the strings. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we heard that one before. Just making sure.
Yes. No, that has played in times previous. Are you hearing anything now?
Yes, there we go.
Yes.
We're just gonna roll with this. It fits.
All right. Just making sure there's
Yeah.
music.
I'm not sure what the deal is with the music. We're gonna have to do some testing.
Foundry's weird when it comes to music.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. All right, give me 1 second to just double check this, okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
My mute button's also not working. Cool. Hardware's breaking, software's breaking. Amazing.
Free.
Yeah, I just I'm all paranoid after last session with little stuff that I didn't even know was a problem. This is an outdated version of Foundry, so that could be something related to our
that's
issues.
the reason. Look at the patch notes for it, and if it says fixed audio issues and shit like that, then yeah, that's definitely the reason. But I doubt that's the reason.
I see. Well, in any case, getting back to it, Dagny, you would step outside into the morning sun, and the rays of a clear sky would greet your skin, which feels very warm and welcoming, which is a nice change after being inside of the cold forge below for the duration of the night. And you would see Aelmon turn and smile, and Akoda would give you a warm greeting smile, much the same, as Akoda would greet you. Oh, Dagny. I suspected you'd be here as well. Good morning.
Good morning. How did you know where we were?
I'm an inquisitor, dear. It's not exactly difficult to take guesses at such a thing. After all, we did dismiss you for the evening.
What made you think that I would be here?
Well, less you and more so Garak I meant to speak with. But, hey, your face is as pleasant as ever. And Aelmon would give a nod. Oh, yes, she could be quite the chatterbox. Oh, we're just reminiscing on old times and how the place used to run and the way Garak would be in and out. And, oh, it was... This just... It makes me wonder about all the old stories and how things used to be, you know? It's...
Used to be?
Well, yes, before the stars, before all of this madness, when times were simpler and people seemed happier just in general. It's... Well, I'm not gonna sour myself once again. I've already spoken my piece about it, but talking about more peaceful times is always something to gets me looking forward with a tinge of optimism. And Dakota here is such a good listener. And Dakota would smile and kind of give a dismissive wave. Of course, you have so much to tell. It's good to hear about more peaceful times and knowing that everything that we've done, at least until things weren't so okay, that we did a pretty good job running things. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's the only way it must be in time. Elmon's just nodding in agreement. Oh, of course. We'll get there. In the meantime, whipping up my best potions is, well, the best way that I can contribute. I just wish Tyreal would hurry up and I'll get back here.
Should I let Garrick know that you're here, Akoda?
Oh, I intend to say hello to him personally. It's quite alright. Since you are here, how was your evening? Was everything, well, a nice change of environment, at least for a night?
It was, yes. It was quite enlightening for seeing where Garrick lives and where he works.
Quite a unique fellow he is, having this, well, lonely nature to him. And Elmon kind of shakes his head. No, of course not. We always keep him good company. Dakota would, nod at that a little. Well, not quite what I was referring to, but it suits. Anyways, may I come in? And Ellen would, of course, nod furiously and invite Akoda to enter. And he would look over his shoulder. If that's okay with you, Dagny.
Well, yes, I mean...
That's good! I'll prepare a nice little breakfast. It isn't much, but hey, we work with what we got around here. And with we go then. Come on!
Yes.
And Elmon would kind of give a hand to Akoda's back, pushing her towards the inside of the door, and would do much the same, having hand on your shoulder, as the three of you would re-enter the abode. And it's about like 2 or 3 minutes have passed since then. And I would say, Garrett, given you're not like totally asleep, you can hear that there's multiple footsteps that are up top, so you can hear that, well, there's presumably Dagny, and which you assume to be at least Elmon, and hopefully Tyreal.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, mask on, do a little bit of work in the morning before I go probably to that tavern place that we were supposed to meet at.
Hmm.
Since I'm back here, yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go over to the door, to the actual door where Garrick's place is, and I'm gonna yell down saying, "Garrick! High Inquisitor Akoda is here to see us!"
Oh, is that so?
Yes!
Give me a few minutes and I'll be up.
Okay. But, I'd try and at least find a place to sit.
There would be a congregation area that has a large enough table for the four of you, and you can see Elmon is arranging a particularly larger than usual and much sturdier built chair that he would drag over to the table in preparation for Garrick's arrival in the room, as he would quickly move over towards the cupboard and is unraveling a few well-packaged preservative meals that appear to be dried meats and an arrangement of beans, as well as some small pieces of bread and other various knickknacks that he's gathering as the form of a makeshift breakfast that he would prepare 4 plates with. And... oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, Aelmon, how long has Garrick been with you?
Let's see now. Many years. I believe it's close to around 20, maybe more. The years blur together, dear. I'm sorry if I can't give a concise answer, but yeah, he is a well-trusted friend and quite a for as much noise as he may make in the forge, he pulls his weight around here. And granted, there's quite a bit of weight to him, so much of the things that we can no longer do ourselves, Tyrell and I, he is more than accommodating.
I mean, has he told you anything about his life?
And Dakota would perk up a little bit at that. Yes, I was curious, if Garrick has disclosed any of that. I wish to know more about the people that I send off to do these kinds of things, the nature of our work, having understanding for their background and what they've been through. It helps me allocate people better. And she would kind of lean closer in as she would begin to explain. I have records of his kind. They were Goliaths, if I'm remembering correctly, and their exodus out from the kingdom. Many left, and not many came back. It had me concerned on his well-being in terms of his health. Although I see that you're capable of keeping him company, I was wondering if there was anything more than that. Elmon would shake his head. Well, not really. Not that I know of, at least. He can be quiet sometimes, and, well, if there is more people out there, I imagine he probably would have invited them over for dinner by now. He certainly would have had them, but no such thing. He doesn't speak very much about his past. I'm sorry to hear that there was trouble, but his business is his business, and I respect it. And Dakota would nod in agreement. Understandable, of course. And she would begin to toy her food. Well, we could sit here and blabber, but perhaps we should enjoy our meals first. I wouldn't want this to go cold, not after the trouble that you went through. And Aelmon, in a bit of a flattery, would agree. It seems as though the meal is taking effect.
Dagny is like taking very small bites. Like she's very deep in thought while she's eating.
Okay. And as for Garrick,
Yes.
you would have your time with the forge. What exactly are you doing? I know you said you want to do some stuff, but anything any outward actions?
It's something I'll have to ask Dagny, depending on how long I want to stay here. I might do my ritual, so basically I'm just getting that stuff in order and preparing the forge in case something needs to be built today. If not,
Right.
I'll just keep it running because, when that's on, generally it's a nice way to keep the rest of the house warm anyway. Good to have a forge underneath the building.
Very true. Let's see.
But
Yeah,
eventually it would come up.
Yeah, I'm looking for the time frame between you being summoned up and you actually coming up.
Given the fact I just woke up, give it 20, 30 minutes probably would probably suffice, I think. Considering the forge is running, it's just maintaining that stuff and getting myself unshoveled.
Okay. About 10 to 15 minutes into the meal, after some very small chit-chat from Elmon, kind of bringing up previous points about his work and Garrick being a supportive housemate, meals would be essentially at an end, as Dakota would go through her plate, as would Elmon. I assume you're taking more of your time, Dagny, as you're nibbling away.
Yeah.
And you would hear Garrick's work continuing on in the forge, as it seems as though he has some things he needs to do down below before he's ready to come up and have his morning meal. And Dakota, after having a bit of silence for a little while, would make a comment. I can see that he is a bit busy with his work. It wouldn't seem very forthright to interrupt. And she goes quiet for a moment, and she's kind of getting a read of the room. Well, as for everything that I've heard so far, Dagny, seeing that you've come here to spend some time alongside Garrick in his abode, I suppose that he has something of almost a friend. Or am I being a little presumptuous?
More confidant, I would think.
Accomplice in crime also works.
And she would turn towards Aelmon and would kind of dismissively hand the plate over as Aelmon is quickly trying to collect the empty plates. I appreciate the meal, Aelmon. Thank you very much. I'm not going to be taking up too much time in the space here, but I would request the room with Dagny if that is within acceptable reasoning.
Like, her fork stops in the middle of her plate.
And Aelmon would give a acknowledging nod once again. That's of course, yes. I do have a quick run I need to make down the road anyways, seeing if any recent shipments come in. You know, it's hard to get a hold of the right things, and the right things that do come in are taken very quickly because the demand is high and the supply is low, and it's just a big mess right now. And Akoda would just kind of give a dismissive hand wave. I understand. Trust me, I have heard about the supply issues day in and day out. I would take full advantage of the freshly opened stalls while you still can. And with that, Aelmon would clean up, grab a knapsack, and hastily runs out the door.
All alone.
And Akoda would turn towards you, Dagny.
Looking down at her plate, just sort of playing with her food with her fork.
Don't talk to me, don't talk to me, don't talk to me.
You can feel her studying you as you do this. And she would eventually speak up again. I don't want this to feel like an interrogation, Dagny. But understand, with everything that's been going on, information is everything. And I'm hoping that you'd be willing to provide.
She'll set her fork down and sit up straight and take a deep breath. She'll look at Akoda and say, "What do you wish to know?"
There was an urgent request that was made following your debriefing coming back from your venture to the High Crucible after everything that occurred.
Yeah,
Garrick was adamant about keeping possession of a certain fragment of an artifact that was recovered from Patrol 63 after a certain incident potentially involving some psychological manipulation took effect that may or may not have had otherworldly implications. The deal was for this stone to be turned over before night's end, before heading off, but Garrick very blatantly disobeyed this agreement and went behind my back. And I'm very disappointed to see him do such a thing. I was hoping with you at least having some sort of friendly ground with him, if you could help me understand why.
well, I believe he wanted to get to his own forge where he believes that most of his work can be done to help him study it better.
With no intention to uphold his end of the deal.
I understand that it was quite far away and outside of the intended grounds, but I'm sure he did not mean to keep it for so long.
How honest are you trying to be right now?
She's trying to be very... I suppose she's trying to give, like, shades of truth to what she's saying without giving everything away.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like lying.
I'm going to roll this as a persuasion check. So roll persuasion on what you're trying to say right now.
Man, persuasion decks around my character just go really well.
Akoda would look at you very sternly, and there would be a bit of a pause. Assuming you can hear that.
No.
The whole
No,
lot
I
of
don't
nothing? No.
No, now I can.
Oh, now we
There
can.
it goes.
It's loaded.
You can see there's a lot of thoughts going through Akoda's eyes as her next words are chosen very carefully as she would continue to speak. Well, assuming that what you're telling me is, well, within the lines of your best judgment, that would imply that there wouldn't be any need for concern given the road ahead, which is exactly what I'm hoping for, given everything that's happening. We read your report on falling stars that were observed over Highshire when you were coming back. Patrol 63 was keen on this as well. However, it was not observed by anyone within the kingdom given the auric activity in the sky. That changed last night. And these strange cosmic objects are well below the skyline and are in fact making contact with the ground. Now, given that your excursion with Patrol 63 was groundbreaking in revelations, we're curious if there's any connection. The stone was whole and is now shattered. We have one half and have been able to gleam into much of it. We think it may be a long-lost piece of humanity's past. And throughout everybody within Patrol 63 and 26 alike, with one exception, there wasn't much that could be drawn from it. Garrick, however, appeared to be the exception. Has he disclosed his past to you at all?
No.
His race is that of a Goliath, as I mentioned previously. The Goliaths are all but unseen these days. Every single one of them left. In a mass exodus some 30, 40 years ago. Garrick was the only one reported to ever return, sometime after this event.
She's just looking at Akoda. There's like her thoughts are like going a million miles a minute. Like there's flashes of images of like possibilities of what happened, of possibly of what Garrick may have done. And she's trying to she's sitting there stock still with her, just sort of wringing her fingers in her hands, and it's just, she's just staring at Akoda with somewhat of a bit of terror in her eyes.
Akoda would read you like a book and can see this very clearly, and she would give a bit of a sympathetic look. I know that's a lot to process, but understand that we never would have allowed him to re-enter into what we have here had we had any concerns. Still, given everything that is occurring, all cards must be considered. I would suspect that his unique perspective on the outside world and what may or may not have been experienced out there could explain his fascination with the stone more so than anyone else that had interactions with it. We're still trying to determine the state of mind of Patrol 63 in its entirety. Whether or not there was genuine manipulation of the mind, or simply worded persuasion in some capacity. We don't necessarily have a specimen to study to
Well,
determine that.
I can tell you from an outside perspective, it wasn't really words. When this keystone was whole, it gave off this aura that just, it's almost like it called to the patrol. And anytime the stone was approached, especially by Garrick was the one who initially pushed the boundaries of the keystone. Like, there was fierce protection of it by Morthos, especially for making sure that nothing was done to it. But if it hadn't been for what Garrick had done, we would not have known that that stone was essentially contained in an eldritch being, which, by the grace of Zula, we managed to vanquish before any other harm could be done.
Let's establish a timeline. Now, I've gotten the bulk of reports from 63 and how they had settled into the Crucible using this stone, placing it upon its pedestal and having it activated. From what I can tell on all attempts to approach after the fact, they were able to get up to the stone without issues, and close contact versus far exposure didn't necessarily seem to be any different. Could you explain to me the events that took place when Patrol 26 arrived, and Garrick's actions following?
Well, we questioned everyone. We talked with Morthos first. Garrick seemed especially... It was a belief of 63 at the time that they could use the power of the stone for their own benefit. There was protecting the Crucible with a shield, using it as a weapon. Sadrius, even under the power of the stone, wanted to use it to create a second pillar of commandments.
A fascinating idea.
But it sounded almost... I have no words for what it felt like when I heard that, but it sounded almost... I'm not religious, but it almost sounded blasphemous, though I know it was a high ideal. The stone was... It was like the stone was feeding off of their desires, amplifying them. Morthos just was fascinated by what it could do from whatever experiments she did upon it. But we knew just based on what all the Patrol 63 was saying at the time, that the stone was the source. Garrick was the one who approached first. As he was approaching, it was almost like it repelled him.
Immediately?
I mean, he was pushing... It seemed like he was pushing forward to get closer. It was almost like it was slowing him down.
And was this reaction observed in anyone else that you saw?
Well, he was the only one that was approaching at the time. We all kept our distance. We didn't understand what was happening. Morthos tried to stop him, but luckily Mayorx was able to hold her back. Garrick then placed silence upon it, and it seemed to weaken the aura a bit, though it was still there. And he kept trying to approach. He was within a hair's breadth of it before he broke silence, and all that energy that was built up inside of that sphere of silence cracked the stone and revealed the creature within.
As if breaking open a seal.
Yes.
I see. Akota's taking all this in for a long while. There is a stern coldness in her eyes, very analytical.
At her, do I get the sense that she actually knows what the purpose of the stone was?
Roll insight.
Natural 20.
Nice.
Now, she's an inquisitor. But from what you can tell, having your senses heightened to the best of your ability, you can tell that she definitely has information, puzzle pieces that may draw some sort of early picture based on everything that she's already been told. All the reports went to the Inquisition on this stone, and they have the other half of it, and they've already done their best to study it with the advanced tools they have. You imagine it's safe to assume that she has many theories that may be leading towards a truer purpose. However, the next step was depending on your own personal input, which you just gave her. I see. Well, either way, there's not too much that can be done moving forward from here, at least for your sake. Plotting your next course of action is something I was also helping you, along with the rest of your patrol, would be able to help set in motion, given your special case with the Startographer. As for this stone business, I do need the other half. If there is anything remnant in this object that may be influencing your actions, it could jeopardize more than we understand. Would you happen to have it around? I would certainly hope so.
Let me... I know Garrick still has it. Please, let me go talk to him and get it for you, please.
Nah,
Very
I
well.
pitched it last week, bro.
Okay, she will get up from her chair and quickly make her way down the stairs. I will say, as she's going down, she's almost to the point of hyperventilating, and she is trying to keep her coughs like very quiet, but they're very hard to keep down. So the minute that she's walking into the forge, almost stumbling down the steep staircase, she's almost hacking her lungs out.
Are you
Garrick.
okay?
You would take a great amount of labor to get back down into the forge. And for the record, you do feel like if you speak quietly enough here, you won't be able to have your voices echoed up front to where a coda is, given there's a lot of noise being generated down here anyways.
What seems to be the problem? Are you okay? You seem pained.
Whatever you need to do with the stone needs to be done now. A code's
Oh.
here to get it. You were supposed to bring it back last night, but
The agreement was that I would have it for a day.
she
Which
thinks-
DM specification? I don't know if you make a out of character mistake. It was not. It was till the end of the day.
Anyway,
Under close supervision while you had it.
right. And she's here for it now, then. It's fine. She can have it back. It's okay. Did she ask about anything else?
I believe she's read a lot of the reports that 63 and we have given her.
Ignore that. Apologies.
They've done their own analysis of the stone. It's possible they already know its purpose.
Hmm.
They still seem to think there may be some aura of influence on it.
Maybe. Well, I've done what I've needed to. I figured out what I needed to as well.
She asks a lot about you, too.
Of course she does.
Told me about one bit about your past.
Well, an interesting thing about being an oddity is that people take a lot more interest in you than they, quite frankly, have any right to usually.
I think if you're the last of your race that's only survived, I think you're more than an oddity.
Yes, maybe. But nonetheless, it shouldn't concern them. Right, let's go up and talk to her. I'll give her her orb, and then she can hopefully leave this house and I can get breakfast. Are you okay, though? You're still hacking up a lung.
Hide your face.
Well, he's already wearing the mask, so...
Why?
She says, "Why do you hide your face?"
Oh, why? Oh, okay, never mind. Forget it. That. Is that a question you really want the answer to?
You truly a Goliath, Garak?
Have you ever seen a human of this stature naturally?
Size means nothing unless I know what you look like. Are you truly a Goliath? Don't lie to me.
I am a Goliath. Of course I am. The reason why I hide my face is because of reasons that I don't want to bring up. You have trauma in your past, yes? As do most people.
Yes?
Mine relates to my face. I would prefer people don't look upon it as a result.
Did they do something to you?
What do you
Something
mean
to your
by...
face?
Who do
Did
you
they
mean
take your
by
face?
My face is still firmly attached to my body. It's why I can talk to you. No, it's something else. I already trusted you with secrets I don't tell anyone else. And there's good reason for that. If you want to really know about that in the future, then in time, that'll be revealed to you too. But you have to trust me.
Because it tells you to?
Oh, is that what this is about? I have my own free will, Dagny. If that's what you're asking about. Mutual interests are exactly what fueled that relationship.
Say it gathers knowledge.
It does.
That you have access to it at all times.
Yes.
Question, DM.
Yes.
Have I learned everything I need to from Fireside Techniques?
You've only had enough time during everything that has occurred within the forge interrupting your reading to gain expertise from your cantrip. Given you spent enough time, you may be able to apply it to spells of a higher level. It's not quite clear how high that goes, but there's more to be extracted.
Okay. Changes my intentions then. You've laid quite a burden on me, Garak. And then she looks at you dead in your eye and says, "But I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you not to betray us. Betray me."
If at any time I do anything intentionally wrong that would betray that trust, you have every right to do as you see fit to destroy me or whatever action you see is right. But I hope, until that point, that trust can be held.
Pray to your God that it does.
The Inquisitor is upstairs.
Yes.
Then let's go and meet her. And with
Help
that,
me up.
I help up Dagny, grab the orb, and make my way upstairs to meet the Inquisitor, I guess.
You would do so. And with the heavy rattling of the sturdy stair ladder, you would ascend with Dagny being assisted by you. You have no trouble helping her up, given she is very lightweight and small compared to your own stature. And Akoda would be, of course, in a very relaxed posture, seated by a larger table in the main congregation area. It seems as though she has helped herself to a small cup of tea in the time that it took for you to come up the stairs. And she would turn to you as the two of you approach and would give a smile and a head nod. Good morning, Garrick. I was hoping you could join us.
Dagny already caught me up on the details. I would like to apologize for keeping the orb longer than intended.
Well, given that you have a unique point of view and were extremely adamant about pursuing your own insights on this rock, I'm curious to see what you were able to find. Perhaps you can give me your own detailed report and we can compare notes.
If you would like, sure, I can glean what I've learned from the subject.
Of course,
Maybe.
by all means, give me the full analysis.
Well, do you mind if I make some tea and some breakfast first, then, if we're going to do that?
Of course, if you allow one favor on my part, I would like to tour your abode, if you are willing. I'm quite curious on your origins, from here at least. This is quite a nice place, and perhaps I'll take some inspiration for myself.
You would like to see my forge?
I have heard good things about it. Elman talks in very high regards. Perhaps there's notes that we can take on it that would help our own forge. If you would have me, of course. If I'm intruding, please do not feel obligated.
Well, in that case, for right now, I will decline respectfully while I get it into a viewing arrangement.
I see. Wouldn't want to present a mess to a inquisitor.
No, not in the slightest, and you know how blacksmiths tend to be with their homes.
Of course, we will have to have the tour of your forge another day. As without a care in the world, she takes another sip from her tea.
With that, then, I'll also prepare my own tea, make my morning breakfast, all of that stuff, and take a seat in my nice big old chair.
Right.
Right.
Akoda has a very relaxed posture and gives you as much time as you need.
So, what have the Inquisitors managed to dig up on the orb?
Well, nothing concrete, but from what we understand, it has insights to a sort of craft that has been long lost when much of humanity fell. We think that this... Oh, please, go ahead.
I, interestingly enough, was under the same impression. You know that my past is an interesting one, and I have some obscure knowledge when it comes to artisanal work, anyway, as you probably saw by that helmet I repaired.
Yes, that was quite impressive work. The metal that is crafted into the High Shire Elite's pauldrons and helmets are a very complicated alloy that is not easy to work with. But you seem to have been a natural with not even a forge at your side. Please explain to me how you're able to do something so eloquently. This is something that it's equally impressive as it was beautiful. You have to tell me.
Well, it's quite simply a mixture between, I guess, skill and faith, I guess.
I would know of faith-stoking actions, of course.
But, on that matter, at least with this orb anyway, and at that point it's probably on the table in betwixt the two of them, I'm under the impression that, much like your people have thought, when I was able to look at it closely using the tools at my disposal, it isn't any form of natural-made item, not a natural stone. It definitely, at least to my best knowledge, seemed to not be from outside of this land either. Like your people said, and think, I would also be inclined to agree that this was something made by an old type of humanity. To what end? I'm. It could be for quite a few reasons.
Based on your skill and faith, as you put it so eloquently, what do you think the purpose of this stone truly could have been? Obviously, it served as quite the power source, but we're led to believe that there's more to it than that, than just being an overglorified source to power things.
Well, had a beast not jumped out of it and attacked us, that would have probably been my theory. But, seeing as, well, that did happen, and I've no doubt you've read the report of that incident, I'm sadly led to believe that not all of old humanity's efforts were noble. If I had to take a gander at what it was for, I would have to guess that the creature that was contained inside of that had been deliberately trapped in there.
I can't
Maybe.
imagine many things like what you read in the report would want to be contained within a stone, so I would only assume that it wouldn't have been an imprisonment it wanted to go through with.
No. I mean, it did speak to us, I believe, in a tongue that at least a few of us understood, if I'm remembering correctly. And understandably, if I were stuck in a small object for a long period of time, much like a fancy prison, I too would probably try and tell people and diverge people into doing whatever I can get them to do in order to escape.
Now, based on the scrolls that we have on exactly the events that took place over a century prior, it was entities just like this that sought to destroy humanity, if not they were the forerunners, in orchestrating our extinction. And yet, it seems like you have some different point of view as to this thing and whether or not it was right to imprison something like this. Could you explain your point of view a little bit better on that?
Well, what I think, and obviously you will have to take this with the idea of somebody who hasn't stayed in this place and isn't native like everyone else. Part of me believes that, and this is mostly a hunch, so feel free to disregard if it doesn't feel right with you, but part of me believes that when old humanity was in its prime, part of me feels like they were trying to use this as a sort of enslavement device. A weapon, perhaps. If you could control something like that creature, then perhaps you could use it to fight off any creature of the equivalent scale, you know? Like, much like having a guard dog would to fight off foxes, that sort of thing. However, judging by the fact that it, to a certain degree anyway, had control over this stone, I'm going to hazard a guess that that was not a successful design.
Yet, for as complicated as it was, the creature remained imprisoned for as long as it was first sealed away.
Well, that's the thing. If it were sealed away properly, then the idea of it having any influence, it being able to control any of the other cartographer group or anything like that, wouldn't have happened. Would
You
have
think
not.
its imprisonment could have been improved upon? You don't believe that within the space of its imprisonment it could have adjusted and perhaps found loopholes to manipulate its environment and the immediate surrounding area?
Perhaps, but no, my hypothesis goes in more the opposite direction, where it was a flawed idea to try and catch something that, understandably, isn't really affected by the same laws that govern our natural world. fool's errand to capture something with tools you have no idea how to use, sort of thing. Unsurprisingly, when the net did not work, I imagine that the creature, because it is to a certain degree smart, I don't know, maybe there's something there with that, I guess. I'm not a tactical person, but I'd guess it, as a designed capturing device, it is flawed and not really worth pursuing further, but may give insight into how history went, if I had to sum it up.
Now, Akota's body language is very relaxed as she's taking those sips from her tea and is giving casual nods throughout all of this. And towards the end, as you had been concluding your words, you can see that she has a stare on you that would send a almost chill down the back of your neck, as if she is able to look right through you. At least so it feels. That would only last for a brief moment as she would break her stare and look off towards the rising sun outside and would finish the last spout of her tea and would give a concluding nod. Well, your perspectives are certainly interesting, Garrick, and I appreciate you taking the initiative. However, going against agreed policy is something I cannot further tolerate. Now, I understand and am accommodating to the fact that you've been through a lot in these past couple of days, given everything with Patrol 26 and your previous patrol before that. Still,
Yes.
not an excuse to become sloppy.
Well, it is understandable that it's a moment of weakness, and I will endeavor not to make sure it happens again. It was not my intention, but you understand.
I would hope so, Garrick, for your sake. Dagny, you've been rather quiet through all this. Do you have anything to add?
No, Inquisitor.
That's quite all right. I feel like I've asked enough here. In any case, the world keeps turning and keeps getting worse with every passing day. This is going to be an affair that will be further indulged upon by those who are experts in such a topic. But of course, I will be needing the piece that you had borrowed back before we can move forward.
Just pushes it along the table towards her.
She would grab it with two hands as it is large. She does have a larger satchel with her. And she would open the satchel and would prepare to place it in. And as she's placing it, she stops in place for just a moment and would examine this half. And you see her run 2 fingers along the edge of the cracked surface. And then would break this examination and would continue to put it into the satchel, secure it away, toss it over her shoulder, and would give a dismissive nod. Well, a full day awaits all of us.
We should probably go and find the others.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Rin,
Yes,
Rin is probably looking for us.
Oh, that's rather unfortunate.
We said we would meet up at the Singing Rings. Oh.
Well, we had best make a move then.
I trust Max knows where to find everyone, or should we pay him a visit as well and give him a lift?
I have no idea where the man lives, so you would know better than I.
Didn't he say he was heading home?
Yes, but I have no idea where that home even is.
Then let's hope he comes back to the tavern.
It would be roughly an hour's travel west to get to the Battlesmith estate. And given that we need everybody in one piece, it would be shorter to swing by and accommodate him. I do have a carriage secured, courtesy of the interior.
Well, a carriage ride certainly beats the heck out of walking, so...
It also beats trying to hail a carriage of your own. We should think about giving cartographers their own carts to make travel easier, come to think of it.
Times are hard. It's best to support each other while we can.
Right. Well, I suppose the most lucrative course of action is to pick up Mayarks and meet back in the interior with Rin.
Yes.
Let's go.
And with that, the three of you would wrap up everything there. Elmon would burst through the door moments before leaving, excited that he was able to finally get his hands on not 2, but 3 rare ingredients that he has been waiting for several days. And he would celebrate this with all of you before giving a hearty hug to Garruk.
Yeah, just picking up the man.
You know just how hard to squeeze him without actually causing any
without
lasting
hurting him,
injuries. And
anyway,
after
I gotta go. Cartographer business calls. You know.
I know. You're gonna do great. You've done great so far, and with such capable company, these 2 fine ladies, you're gonna go far. We're counting on you, okay?
I probably won't be gone as long this time, hopefully, as I look at the Inquisitor. Well,
Oh, you better.
we'll see.
And out the door, into a finely prepared carriage you would go. And west you would head.
These fucks.
I will say, while we're during the hour that we are on our way there, she is going to start. Yeah, she's going to start reading the animated Apocrypha.
All right. Just give me a general intelligence check, and we'll touch base on the revelations you find in that book after the fact.
Would you like a guidance?
Also, the 2 of you may now unclench your buttholes.
Nah, not yet.
after
You're in
that
a cart with her.
conversation.
Yeah, we're still right next to her, quite literally. But, you know, I haven't had any reason to lie, so...
Mayarks,
No, no.
you've been hard-pressed for a rest as good as the one you've got over the course of this passing evening. And well-rested you would be. It wouldn't be before you're fully awake where you hear a loud pounding on your door. Boy, get out of bed!
There's no need for hostility. The door's open. Just kind of.
There's no sleep for the wicked boy.
You just hear shuffling and clanging of shit dropping, just trying to get his equipment. What is it?
I got a stack of shit from stuff to do from here to the skies. Now, if you're not going to be helping me out with this, I suggest you get back to whatever cartography business that you're supposed to be doing.
I was
I
planning
don't
on
think they're
helping
paying
you.
you to sit at home.
They don't pay me at all, to be honest. I'm coming.
Oh. Well, just give me a hand, will you?
Just opening the door before he can walk away. I am coming.
And, of course, he would usher you downstairs. There is a meal to go, essentially. A arrangement of small rations worth of foods that are in a little bit, something of like a small basket that you can take with you while you move out the house. And parked in front of the Battlesmith estate is a carriage. And going into it, you would see that there are a number of heavy boxes that seem to have supplies that need to be moved over towards the forge. And you've done this dance before, you know the drill. Get them moved over to the forge and get them organized by their type of implement that they are. And I'm presuming you're helping out your old man without any contesting on your part.
Absolutely none. Just
Fight him.
just casual conversation. Just did Mom come back last night?
Wish I could say yes, but looks like she hasn't. But you know her, she's strong.
Did she say where she was going to be? Because I do kind of want to see her before I go.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Merrick's, but yeah, she said she was going towards the exterior walls to apply herself where she could. She's good like that. But who knows how long she could be gone for. But sitting here wondering about it's not going to change anything, so hard work is what I do to keep my mind off of things.
That's fair.
And
And,
you would've-
what if I didn't want to go back to the Inquisition?
He is in the middle of preparing a box, and he kind of stops himself and looks over his shoulder again. Second thoughts? That's not the quitter's attitude that I usually see from you, Merrick's. What's this about?
Just everything. Just kind of brushing it off now, just realizing what he said. Dev, we'll talk about it later. We need to get the boxes. The shield. How much does it cost?
Shield has some particularly custom commissioned etchings into it. Not that a good shield ever needs something like that, but the total commission was about 30 gold.
That is a pretty expensive shield.
Yeah, I had to brush up on my etching tactics a little bit. And, of course, I'm doing some dirty work on it to give it to you. So,
I was
just,
wondering.
yeah.
The reason I need the shield is because I'm not used to fighting things that aren't human, generally speaking. And these are bigger beasties. Made of stone generally. It's kind of weird, but I was wondering if we could do something customized for it.
Well, if you're going to be taking off, I'm not sure how much time I got, but I can scrape together a basic shield from it. What did you need?
Just, the beasts are quite mindless. They just kind of bash into things a lot. I was thinking a spike on the front, so when they hit me, they hit themselves.
Spike, huh?
Use their own rage and stupidity against them.
This is gonna be a bit of a hodgepodge, isn't it? Yeah, we're gonna have a big old crude spike with a very eloquent etched ring on the outside of this shield. This is nothing I would ever give to anyone who didn't really need it, but hey, it's gonna work for you. I should be able to get that nice and quick before you go off to wherever you need to go, I assume.
Yeah, heading over to the singing ring or whatever. They said we told each other we'd meet up when we were done with whatever we were doing.
Well, if you got people depending on you, son, I wouldn't get with them too long because leaving people hanging like that, you know it's not right. Especially in times like this. People don't show up for dinner, especially now. It better be for a good reason, because people over time will assume the worst.
Knowing the Inquisition, they're probably sending someone to get me. They are impatient. I don't want to move too much.
Well, if they gotta stick up their ass, they can waddle their way all the way here, I suppose.
That was my idea. As much time as I can get to help you out.
Yeah.
Are we there yet?
Just about. And while all this is happening and you're moving the boxes, you would go to give that bear hug to the crates like you always do, and you go to lift it up, and you either became a lot stronger or the boxes became a lot lighter, and you, of course, would peer over the edge and see that these shipments are roughly around half the capacity as far as the crate's concerned that you usually see. So there's definitely limited supplies. And you would get these crates sent off into the forge, and they would be collected and organized into their respective components along the shelves, and you would walk with your dear old dad as he takes the frame of an elegant shield in the works, and you can see that the outer rim is done and has this beautiful etching along it. It has a wavy, almost elven design, and you can see that he has a very crude, simple, and crimp mark latent centerpiece that, while helping him out, he would quickly fasten to the center, and through your combined efforts would get it secured, along with a strong and sturdy spike at the center of it. It's definitely unique. Crudely made but functional in the center, and the edge has this mismatching, extremely elegant design to it.
The shame of it all is I'm going to etch something on the inside of the shield as well.
And your father would make quick work. He's been doing this for a long time, as he would fit you for it, get the straps and the handles all the right size for you, as he would secure it on there and would give it a metallic pat with his big old hand, and he gives a nod and a bit of a smile for whatever the world's gonna throw at you.
Please don't look at me strangely. I'm gonna take it off the arm that he fitted it to, the one that he'd expect me to use, and put it on my right hand, and put it on my right arm.
Huh.
I have to...
Don't get yourself killed, alright?
I have to kind of relearn how to fight, so this is going to help me a little bit.
Well, the best teacher's experience. And I'd say that if you're taking insight from your experiences out there and making adjustments so you're more prepared, I feel like I raised you right.
Just, make sure Mother gets home. If she gets home, tell me, and next time I get here, just gotta make sure everybody's okay at the homestead, you know?
I'll do what I can, son.
And, just gotta go inside and start cleaning up bullshit.
You would. And some time would pass before yet another unexpected carriage would arrive at the Battlesmith Estates. And you would get a glimpse of this as you can hear them approaching right into the frontal area. As you see through the front window, there is a familiar flourishing of a crimson red cape and flowing golden hair, as you would recognize Inquisitor Akoda, and shortly before, not long behind her own footfalls, would be two of your three fellow cartographers from Patrol 26.
Hey!
Just awkwardly stepping out and stretching, and like being stuck in a very small car.
Just shouting, I told you the stick in the ass would come!
Akoda would look up at this remark, and there is absolutely no reaction more than just a stoic stare that is just befalling you.
Looking back at her, just... The Inquisition in general, not you. You are actually quite pleasant compared to the most.
Yeah, you're a very pretty stick.
Oh, I'm sure that's what you meant.
No,
Naturally.
just trust.
So
Right.
this is where he sleeps.
I trust your remarks implicitly. Given your sense of humor, I'm assuming you're well rested.
Nah, it's... Oh my god, sleeping in my own bed. It was amazing. Ugh.
That must be nice.
That was the idea, to give you well-needed reprieve. Are you feeling ready for the next step?
As much as I really can be. Just, grabbing the shield. Grabbing my shit. I'll see you later, Father.
He would give a wave. There's already people that have moved into the forge and are badgering him for commission work and getting things accomplished, as he would give you a sending off wave and one last nod of his bearded head, as I'm assuming if there's no further commentary from anyone here, you would board the carriage and would head off.
Just, Akoda included. You guys do know that Rena's going to be fucking furious when we get back here.
Oh,
I'm
no
looking forward
doubt.
to it.
Can we just all agree that the conversation was when we were done with what we were doing?
That is what I heard.
Alright, then I just finished what I was doing. Let's go to the ring.
A suggestion on my part. Keeping tensions in the group high is only going to work to a detrimental effect moving forward. So, if you do need to apologize, I would temper your egos and give him one.
I can do that. Just let me talk to him.
Okada gives a smile. And with that, the hour-and-a-half long trek back to the interior where the singing ring is would take effect.
Live somewhere closer, could you?
I do not get to choose where my ancestors decided to stay, sorry.
I mean, I did.
That's... Did you?
Yours very special case.
I thought you guys went back to the ring, to be honest.
No.
No.
But that's, old history.
And nor was I expecting a coda. Don't you usually have things to do? Like, why are you coming after the offshoot of us?
Well, everything that's occurred with all of you, you are under my keep, and I've been personally handling your reports. There are certain
forgot to
inquisitors that
remind
are assigned to particular patrols, and they keep tabs and build rapport with those who respond to them, given that they are able to make it back to the kingdom in one piece, which sadly not all of them can say. You, along with around 7 other patrols, are under my personal keep.
And how many of them are not magically inclined?
We
Individuals.
tend to diversify every party that we send out, given that we have someone with a different set of skills for each cartography patrol member. That way, they can combine their skills, so their total skill set in a number of different situations is more broad and heightens their chance of survival. There may be times when you believe Inquisitor's choices to be asinine and nonsensical, but I promise you, there were reasons behind every decision in how we pick people for the job. And it is an important job. It is not a decision we make lightly.
And
Lives are depending on all of you.
can you describe on why you chose us? Me particularly?
Mayarks, you have a drive that is rare among many. There are those who get beaten and battered, and those tend to change people, but not always for the better. I can see, based on that new addition to your side there, and she eyes the shield, that you are adaptive. You have a strong sense for what you're up against, can assess a situation very clearly, even under immense pressure, can manage that pressure, be it through humor or otherwise, and can make the best of what you have, and improve it for what you know that you're going to be facing. Some of those are inquisitorial traits.
Further question.
Mirax as an inquisitor.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that'd be the day, wouldn't it?
No, let's not imagine that one. That one sounds terrifying.
That one sounds amazing.
Inquisitor Mirax. Has a certain ring to it. I like it.
I wouldn't get too ahead of yourself. You'll have to settle for a cartographer for now.
To be honest, cartographer sounds a bit like, yeah, we report to you, but it sounds a little bit above now, to be honest. I'm joking. I know you do too much for me.
She needs a promotion first before you can take her spot, is what she's getting at.
Do I get
Right,
the
I work
armor?
hard to impress you, Merx. I'm hoping for a promotion if you're being so generous one day.
If you get the promotion, do I get? Can I have your cape? Is that like giving? That cape? I want a flowy cape. Not for fighting, but just in like flowy. It'd be very
Ah, yes, the I'm in charge cape. That would be the day to fit you, Mayarks.
No, not the I'm in charge cape, just one that flows even when it's not even windy. Like, ever windy cape, kind of. They always do dumb names for magical bullshit. Like, the flowy cape of wind, I'll come up with it.
Perhaps I could tie a knapsack to your back and could fan you to get a flowing effect.
I mean, if you want to follow me around and just blow at me constantly...
Well, you went for the flow of things, and that would accommodate.
I think we've
you're
offended her.
thinking.
You think?
The knapsack might do. I would... Do you still have that requisition list? I might add that to that. Just with a smile.
Not my department, but we'll see what we have for you. Perhaps if you humor the knapsack, you could try wearing it on your head first.
I mean, does it have sight holes? Like, adaptive, you know?
Ah, I'm sure you do just fine without them.
We'll try it out. I'll tell you how it works.
I'm looking forward to the reports. And through this, you can see Akota has something of a shit-eating grin on her face. She's withholding a bit of laughter.
Oh god, I just realized something.
What?
Yes, if you become an Inquisitor, you'll have to actually take things seriously.
Get a point of inspiration. Holy shit.
Your job sounds lame now, to be honest.
I mean, with great power comes great responsibility. You should have expected that, but then again...
Naturally, no knapsack is going to change that, I'm afraid.
But I do get the cape, yeah? The knapsack? I'm fine with the knapsack. That sounds really... bewilderment
You'll
upon
just
the
have to
enemies.
requisition it. Let's leave it at that.
Will do. Just writing it down already.
Of course.
Just writes down potato sack into another requisition list.
I don't need clothes, I need more potato sack.
And while all this is going on, Rin, you would have the better part of approximately 2 to 2.5 hours to kill,
My God.
given there is a long trek out, the occurrences, and a long trek back to get to the interior, even with an inquisitorial seal stamped on the side of the carriage, a angsty crowd that is fearful of the coming events and the future of their own lives. They're not as accommodating to authority as one would hope. So, in this 2.5 hours, are you doing anything in particular at the Singing Ring, or...
Throttling
Hey guys, why
children.
don't we take the scenic route while we're at it?
Oh, we could stop by Dagny's! You want to go to...
Yeah, no, let's not do that. That another time.
Can we just avoid Rin entirely? This,
Can't do that. He's a part of the patrol.
I mean, perhaps we could do Morse code with the globe if he decides to take it back and forth.
I don't know, he does seem to be outsourcing himself into a little ball, so
Oh, wait!
maybe we could avoid it.
Dagny, can you entertain me for 1 second?
What?
I'm gonna call the cartographer corps to me. Just put, like, basically tape a note to it. Can you call it real quick?
I'll call
Oh,
the
I see what you're
cartographer
doing.
corps.
You would call the cartographer corps, and the corps would come to your hand, and the note that was attached to it would remain in place where it was before teleporting and would flutter onto the floor of the carriage.
Fuck!
Yeah. Plus, we don't want to be showing this thing off around to everybody. It just
No.
raise questions.
I was thinking if we could bring it back and forth, since they are basically keeping it with Garban and Nisha, we could put notes on it and then teleport it back. Or they
I
could
have a
teleport.
question.
Hmm.
What is that thing?
Um,
I've seen it a few times, but none of you have explained it to me thus far.
it's a map. You know? Okay? So do you know maps?
Yes, I know maps, I'm not fucking stupid.
It is like that. Sorry, I have to explain it properly. You have to acknowledge that you know some things. If you don't know what the map is, I have to explain a map after that. Anyway,
Mayarks.
it is a map that kind of shoots off into the ceiling and tells us where we are. It also explodes when a Coda touched it.
And you
Well,
can just make it appear.
Yes.
Well,
I
it's-
do not recommend making contact with it, and might I add, this device needs to be kept to the utmost level of secrecy. This is not something to be shown to just anyone.
We're not showing it to
exactly
everyone.
what I said.
I was just making sure we test it. We need to test it.
Well, it's been tested and it's not very effective. Maybe we can find a different route, but right now,
Exactly. I'm just going to call it back and put it in the bag.
Regardless, I have just one question about it, more than anything. How does it determine who uses it?
it was attached to us by the startographer.
You know what? That's a different subject that I don't need to know about right now.
I'm gonna get out
Yes.
my javelin with the signature on it. Just, he was a man. He signed this, and he made some device that sucked our souls into like a space type.
Well,
area.
it bound our soul to the core, essentially.
And there's more of them apparently. I'm hoping we find one and get this bound to you as well, so you could use it. But that's
I'd have to bind my soul to a metal object.
I mean,
isn't that what clerics do in Coda? Isn't that what just the Inquisition does? But binds
You're
their
thinking
souls.
of warlocks.
It's complicated, I'm afraid.
Okay.
There's different variations on how to worship.
Well,
you sure about that?
Just looking over at Dagny, despite the fact that he's wearing a mask, you can obviously see the... Come on, really?
but don't touch it. It might explode on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the long and short of it. Do not touch.
Hey, look, we've arrived.
No, you fucking haven't.
I'm gonna say you have, because this has gone on for long enough.
Christ. You've
Rin.
left me waiting for 3 hours!
2.5.
No, we
thank
definitely
you.
take the scenic route. Take us back.
Thank you.
While everything is taking place and the occurrences of the inn continue, there would be an arrangement made within the center pen of the tavern. It appears as though somebody supplied the singing ring with a very greased up piglet that is quite angsty. You're not really sure what they did to it, but this thing is going nuts. They have it in a knapsack, and they would deposit it into the ring in the center, which is like a 3-foot high, like half wall almost. And it appears that a competition has set in. For some reason, on every other week, they hold this sort of pen competition. And from what you gather, if you can wrangle the pig and get a hold of it for 5 seconds, you seemingly win some sort of prize based on how fast you can do it. And there's a leaderboard and everything. They would bring out a scroll that has a list of times that are kept from last week's records, and it seems a few patrons are taking a break from their sullen conversations to wrangle a oily pig.
Why you gotta do this to me, B-Man?
Well, I guess that we know what the rest of the session's going to contain.
It would have a a giant culling of the crowd to definitely direct their attention at something that can take their minds off of everything that is occupying their heads, and people will be going in and out. You would notice with the way Seeker is set up, this figure in the dark cloak with an obfuscated face has not moved an inch.
He's been standing out there for 3 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, I bet you feel bad now, huh? You've been comfortable inside. That man's had
Fuck
to
you.
stand there.
Died
And-
in a ditch.
We'll go off your last perception check, which is pretty decent because not much has changed since then. But there would be multiple points where you're looking out, they're looking in, and on multiple occasions you would lock eyes with them in the very short windows of the doors bursting over and then clambering shut.
Okay, yeah. Definitely, I want to get away from the fucking pig wrestling and finally confront that guy who has apparently been standing out there for 3 fucking hours. Not doing anything.
you would get up from your seat, having concluded most of your work, and getting around the pig riffraff, you would go towards the door. First, open the double doors to go outside, only to find that they're gone.
Is there a bench by the front door of the Singing Rings or something like that?
Several.
Yeah. I am not playing these fucking games. I'm sitting down and waiting for idiots to actually show up. I'm also posted at the door to prevent mirrors from entering and fucking with the pig.
There is a loud, muffled squealing that is being echoed through the Singing Ring and out the doors every 2 to 3 minutes as a new challenger approaches.
But yeah, that was fucking highly suspicious. Just a cloaked figure watching this place, and when I go to approach it, it's straight up disappear. So I'm having Seeker keep an eye out for any more of that shenanigan, while I'm going back to working on schematics and other such shit, and waiting, still.
Roll perception on Seeker.
Yeah.
That one.
Let's see.
Shut up.
Nope.
Very
They
nice.
fucked.
We will describe the findings of Seeker after, I'm going to say, you want to do a 5 or a 10 minute break? Or maybe 15. It's up to you guys.
10
I'm good
sounds good.
Alright, we'll take a 10-minute pause here.
Hey,
We will reconvene at 10:08. For those in Eastern time. BRB.
Hello.
Alright, go take another piss break for another 10 minutes.
All right, cool.
I will get that pig. There's no stopping me.
Oh, I'm gonna get it too.
Guidance me.
Oh, no, it's a competition.
I will.
There's a
win.
leaderboard, Jen.
Can we have a joint position?
No.
Fucking with dice. I have too many d6s. I need to get more.
You know, I was expecting that whole scene with the Inquisitor to go a lot worse.
Why? By a lot worse, do you mean more deception checks?
I mean, it would have been funny if I had to make any sort of check, yes.
Let's hope you don't have to make a charisma saving throw or lose your mind.
Why would I have to do that?
I don't know. Charisma saves are very rare, though.
Well, yeah, because I usually kept things like possession.
No, possession's still wisdom.
No, possession's charisma, I think.
No, it's wisdom. Charisma saves are a lot of other bullshit. By other bullshit, I mean they're like non-existent. Let me go look up charisma saves. D&D charisma saves. It's anything resisted by sheer will.
Apparently spells include banishment, calm emotions, dispel evil and good, divine word, force cage, magic circle, seeming, planar binding, plane shift, zone of truth are some of examples. As for monster abilities, a ghost's possession, and then Homba Hulk's confusing gaze.
Fuck.
Well, there you go.
Fuck, I was wrong on one specific thing.
To be fair, charisma saves are just so damn rare.
I thought those were wisdom saves. Or at least that's what a DM did for me at one point.
To be fair, it could be either if you didn't have a spell that said something specific. It would work either way, thematically speaking.
I don't know, it's fucking weird. Hey, Jacket.
Hey,
Wanna know a fun fact?
sure.
The width of a human hair is about 0.0025 centimeters, or about 200 times thicker than the plot of Avatar 2.
Good to know.
Apparently, I need to requisition a leash from the Inquisition.
Now, why would you eat one of those?
I wonder.
It wasn't just me. Can't yell at me.
I mean, you could try putting one on Garrick.
Duck!
It would have been so much worse if I showed up by myself. I'm so happy that I showed up with everybody.
You're just gonna make Rin assume that the the Inquisitor literally had to go wrangle you up.
No, we're all together.
No,
Yeah, I had important business to do, you know?
no.
Important business, like causing problems for the Inquisition. Apparently. I don't know why, but I think the Inquisitor doesn't like me anymore.
I wonder why.
I mean, to be honest, I also thought it was like a day, but...
To be fair, it's supposed to be under heavy scrutiny too, and they just let me walk out the building, so I mean, shrug.
Not my fault.
Well, you have to keep in mind, like, they are under attack 24/7.
Yeah, but it's still up to them to enforce the rules.
Hello, motherfucker.
Cringe. With cable.
With cable.
With cable.
With cable.
With cable.
I think we're all good to go.
Amazon, you hear me?
Whenever you
Yes.
are.
Alright.
Everybody here?
Yep.
Yep.
Check it.
No.
Well, session canceled.
Ah!
Yep, there it is.
End of the recording.
All right. Picking things up where we left off. All right. You would send Seeker high up into the air, and having been a bit perturbed by that figure, you give a special set of instructions to Seeker to stick close to the facades of buildings, stay out of sight, and do rounds on the nearby area. And Seeker would do just that, making slow rotations around the immediate area of the singing ring. And a good 20 or so minutes would pass, and it would see a glimmer of something a bit familiar. There's a passing of a dark charcoal, almost black cloak around a corner in a nearby alleyway that seems to be skulking in the direction of the singing ring where you're standing. And Seeker, having the bit of the ping, would give you the mental ping saying it may have something that matches the figure from before. Not seeing much else besides people stumbling into the ring to wrestle a pig. And it would do well to follow the path. Have it make a stealth check.
Okay.
My God.
Sneaky peeky.
It would tuck its extremities close to its body and would lessen the power that it's outputting to kind of reduce the whirring of the internal mechanisms that it gives off. Having the cover of the surrounding area of a very popular bar certainly works to its benefit, and it would echo around the corridors for which Seeker is patrolling. And Seeker would round this corner and would see this very same figure in a dark charcoal colored cloak that is seemingly fumbling with something in their cloak. And upon closer inspection, it almost looks like some form of parchment. And this person would, from a few of their things, would continue to skulk about. And as the light catches it, as this person dips in and out of cover, the gray would almost have this dark green shimmer to it, as though the cloak was iridescent. It's kind of a green shimmer when exposed to direct sunlight. And they would continue about this strange, suspicious behavior with the parchment, and Seeker would move around to get a better angle, and they would get a decent look at this figure's face as they are moving into said patch of sunlight.
A person.
I don't know this person.
I'm assuming you can see that?
Yes.
Alright, good, making sure.
Looks like a lady.
It would be a female for sure, with this paler skin, black hair, and these brown, almost reddish eyes, as there's a few tools that are fastened to a tight-kept belt, as well as said scrolls which are tucked tightly. And she would throw her hood over her head again, and would duck out of the cover, and would move away from the singing ring area.
I see. It's not 100%. Actually, it is kind of 100%. They're kind of stalking me. Because as soon as I went off to fucking confront them, they booked it. Yeah, I'm gonna have Secret Taylor.
All right.
Keeping as sneaky beaky as he can.
You would follow her for a good couple minutes more as she does her best to maintain a low profile, and she seems to know the layout of these streets very well. It would duck in and out of various alleyways, seems to take the path of least eyes, and would eventually arrive at a landing for several carts, where there would be an arrangement of 5 to 6 men that are arranging a deal with the writer, seemingly paying them to be taken somewhere else, as this hooded woman would wait till eyes are abated. And it's curious, these men are moving in such a way where they are walling a line of sight from her approach, from the writer that's taking the coins from them. And as quick and quiet as a shadow, she would slip by them under the cart and would hitch herself towards the bottom of the cart as the other men would board into it proper. As they would fully embark, and the rider would begin moving north, away from the inner city. Tailing it further is, well, you may be sending Seeker quite a ways away, should you choose to pursue.
Yeah, plus he wouldn't have cover if they're leaving. Seeker will return.
You would do so. And Seeker would be recalled. And as you're dropping Seeker's input, you would see that there is a cart about 50 feet off, closing fast, with the seal of the Inquisition, and you would get a glimmer from within the carriage the familiar red bellowing cape of a coda, with Cartographer Patrol 26 in tow. It looks like she rounded up your friends. And you had a brief thought in your head that it took even Inquisitor and Coda to get your friends to meet up at the proper place.
Let's be honest here. Friends is very much stretching it.
Yeah, we're totally friends. What do you mean?
As they would close the distance.
So their card is essentially going the other way on the same street, road.
You're talking about the one with the cloaked woman?
Yeah, who has apparently hitched a ride beneath that one.
Yeah, no. This is a totally different street. Is currently where that cart is. This is a different approach where the inquisitorial cart is approaching.
Like we're near the main thoroughfare.
They're approaching from a westbound road, and that cart went north.
Okay.
I see.
And that was north, like through several offshoots, because you had to follow her through a bunch of alleyways, anyways. So it wasn't nowhere near here.
Yeah, I don't want to reveal Seeker. Yeah, no, Seeker will return.
Seeker would return, and the cart would greet you as it stops just in front of the singing ring, and Akoda would disembark and would beckon for the other 3 passengers to disembark along with her.
Ah, so they finally arrived.
So they have, as gritting your teeth, the arrival of your acquaintances have come to the singing ring. As the riffraff of people moving about and the muffled squealing of the pig continue from within.
How kind of you all to finally join me.
Rin, I sincerely apologize. I think time just got away from us.
I trust your visit to the library proved fruitful.
Very.
Yes, I mean, yes.
And what of your experimentation upon that item you withheld from the Inquisition?
Well, me and the Inquisitor had a lovely chat this morning about it. I provided my insights. I'm not sure if I like what me and the Inquisitors have found, but it is.
Further elaboration will have to wait until we are out of public earshot.
Yes,
We have
please.
secured a place within the Hall of the Inquisition where you can discuss current occurrences more openly.
That would be excellent. If none are opposed, I believe we should head to the Hall of the Inquisition post-haste.
I couldn't agree more. Are any opposed?
Not at all.
Nah.
Mirix has still yet to leave the cart, expecting that we are just picking up Rin and leaving.
That's the idea.
That's a very loud pig. Anyway.
Yeah, that would be audible to all of you as there's the squealing of a pig that is coming from within the singing ring, and Akoda would break her concentration for just a second to give a very confused stare at the front doors as there would be a couple patrons leaving. There's some grease on their shirts. One of them is shirtless, and they seem to be giggling to themselves as the doors are open and the squealing gets greatly louder before they would swing shut again.
Do we even want to know?
You really don't.
Then let's be on our way, please.
So that's the type of bar that Rin likes. Okay.
Okay, let's go.
I mean, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but I think it was the day before that. They had the fighting bit. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, let us embark already. I believe we've wasted enough time.
I wouldn't call it wasted, but fair point.
They got the new shield? Not wasted in my opinion.
I assume we're all in the cart now and on the move.
Yes. With that being said and done, you would post-haste make your way towards the High Capital, and passing by a number of Shire Guard who are taking up their posts. There would be the... There's nothing playing, by the way. Let me fix that.
Just casual.
I did want to, essentially, once I'm in the. It's a closed carriage, right?
Yes.
I did want to kind of bring something up a few moments after we get moving in the somewhat privacy within.
Yeah, it's definitely a more heavy covered carriage. So if there is something you wish to say within low voices, you feel like it would be safe.
All right. Definitely speaking up. First and foremost, there is something I feel inclined to inform the Inquisitor here. Or, more specifically, a suspicious person. While I
If-
was...
You have any description that would be appreciated?
Better than that. As I'll take out the projection device and literally just create a... Obviously, we're cramped in here. I'll
Yep.
create a miniaturized illusion of that sus woman with it in front of everybody to have a gawk at.
You would do so, and everybody would see this woman in a miniaturized fashion, emanating from a strange crystalline device that Rin has in his possession that you've never seen before. Quite the party trick, and quite the person to be displayed.
I'm just gonna start drawing them into a book.
And Akota's expression would light up immediately as her eyes widen. Portia Palethorpe. Interesting.
She was watching you?
I believe so. Though I cannot be certain. This individual was posted outside of the Singing Rings for 3 hours. Obviously, after such an amount of time, I decided to confront them as to why. However, as I approached, they seemingly disappeared. Thankfully, Seeker was able to discover them further away within the inner city, skulking about. As for where this woman has left, it would seem she hitched a ride beneath a cart, heading out of the inner city. I believe east, you said, right?
North.
Northward.
I can dispatch Shire Guardsmen to investigate immediately.
Who is this woman?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Who is this woman?
This would be the forefront, the face of the human trafficking operation I described earlier.
What?
It's interesting to see her involved directly. I suppose this would coincide with Gervon's recent actions. I can't say I'm pleased.
Recent actions. What has he done?
He's stepped out from the Hall of the Inquisition, which is rather curious, because this is not easily done. We're not quite sure where he's run off to. We have a trail, and we're following it, but we've yet to truly see where he is gone off to.
Did he get out?
And now we have this trafficker that's watching Rin specifically. The connection to the child is undoubtedly involved.
This woman. Are you certain sending the Shire Guard is wise? Are we not in a current position to intervene?
Regrettably, this, while a good operation for someone in your position to continue following, is not where our priorities should lay. I understand this is a personal matter for you, Rin. I do. But you'll need to trust that an opportunity will present itself. After all, there's a clear interest that they have in you. There are greater things at play, and unless that there's some evidential tie that we have from this to the greater occurrences, we're going to need to keep a pin in this.
Do you think she might retaliate?
It's unclear. She's not necessarily one to be outwardly violent unless she needs to be. She's careful.
If you could elaborate on the specifics of her trafficking operation, it would be appreciated. Who are the individuals they are taking, to where, etc.?
From what we do know, Portia has operated in and out of the walls, slipping to and fro, as though they were hardly even there at all. Her specialization is children, particularly those who have a uniqueness to them, those of a rare species, those that have traits that are not easily described, something that the Inquisition would take interest in. But in every account that we've explored, she's been faster and swifter and more subtle. And, might I add, quite effective at covering her tracks.
This knowledge, alongside what I know of Girbon and what he has spoken of in the past, to me, at the very least, creates a clear connection to Girbon's family.
The Saidheens. Yes. They have quite a knack for biological experimentation. Not unlike Girbon himself. Having one linked with the Startographer and the Cartographer core in this rink is messy. And everything that we have gathered from Girbon, he has assured us that the nature of this study, while questionable by our standards, has never been outwardly nefarious. Portia's never been known to hurt any of the objects that she has specialized in moving from one place to another. We can't directly link her to any mistreatment, but still, there's not enough information to draw a conclusion.
She may not be physically harming the children, but she is kidnapping them from their families, their parents, their guardians. And for what? Nothing good.
And if she's watching you, then she obviously deems you a threat.
She will probably follow us out of the city. And if she does, then we can confront her there.
Like, what's to the north? I don't think I've been north of here.
I mean, don't we had to head north anyways? After... Where are we heading next? I'm pretty sure we were thinking about the stars that fell, yeah?
Yeah.
That was another matter of business that was more pressing. But before we get further into that, we should reserve it for the halls. And reserved for the halls it would be, as you would arrive back at the Hall of the Inquisition.
Rin is super pissed off. Literally, the person in which they fucking need to deal with. But
Yeah.
they didn't fucking know it was them. Fuck! I would have fucking chased that bitch across the entirety of Highshire.
Well, now you know what she looks like, and now you know how to track her down.
The stupid bitch gave away her fucking details.
You would arrive, and making quick work to get past all of the riffraff that you've seen time and time again through all of the decadence that is the halls of the Inquisition. There would be an offshoot of a room that is secured, where all of you were able to enter, and privacy is finally had among all of you.
So you guys have any reports on the stars up north that fell?
Nothing that is extrapolated, but there has been countless sightings throughout all of the kingdom. It's not exactly a secret.
Even myself viewed additional stars falling last night.
Wait, there were more?
I think I
Yes.
saw a couple too.
If you remember, Dagny, I believe Aelmon even said he saw a few more than usual.
This does not bode well.
While the actual trajectory of these all seem to have varied destinations, they don't appear to be too far off from Highshire's immediate territory. There were initial reports of the west, then south, and then even a couple sparse reports of the east as well.
Are there any running theories as to why this is happening at the moment?
Nothing concrete that I can disclose, but from what I understand, they all seem to have the same trajectoral origin. They are coming from the far northwest, which, mind you, is much of the same location from where the great star had fallen, that shook the omen in everyone's heads. Undoubtedly, there is at least connectivity between those two.
That was actually where I was going to suggest we go next, actually.
There's an extreme possibility that these recent stars are encircling Highshire itself.
Sounds as if they're closing ranks.
There is some minor observation that has been done before the curious stopping of all of them. There was a clear distinction that was made between the energy that was produced by the falling star of the omen and the energies that have been traced from all of these. The energy that came from the omen was definitively unique. No one had ever seen anything like it. They dubbed this lunar energy. None of that has been observed in these smaller comets that have been arcing and impacting the surrounding territories of Highshire. These are more familiar to worldly energy. However, they are quite complicated. While there's definite connections in terms of the nature of the anomaly and their origin, there is some striking differences as well.
Char?
Given the nature of the energy, we can't definitively say that the type of body that is the omen is the same as whatever these are. In fact, all suggestion points to the fact that these may very well be different. I know that's not very telling, but that's as far as we're able to gather, at least from our observatories.
More on what we should do next. We should probably go north to where the omen occurred, where that star came and left, bringing out the thing, the globe, the picture that's inside of it. We could stop by the fallen stars and see what's going on there as well on the way.
Seems the best course of action.
If you wouldn't mind, I would like to take a second look at that projection of the initial omen.
Just gotta start charging it. Please don't touch it this time.
Oh, believe me, I've learned my lesson the first time. Mayarx, thank you. And Garak, I recommend not making contact.
Just starting to charge it up now. Question, did it hurt? You didn't have much of a reaction last time.
I'm sorry, what are you asking?
Did it hurt?
Oh, right. Okoda would give a bit of a nod. Oh, make no mistake, it was quite painful, but it's not the first time I've been assaulted by something I don't understand.
Deadly hurt, or just brain hurt?
Enough to knock me off my feet and certainly left me winded, perhaps even a bit tingly. Bit of a curious sensation.
Were you struck by lightning?
It felt similar, but unique at the same time. I would imagine without wearing this breastplate, it would have left me in a much more dire condition.
We need to figure out how to modify this in some fashion. Can I do the will it to charge thing?
The will it to charge thing.
Like you.
Oh,
I should just bring it up the picture. I don't think you need to do a full charge just to bring that up.
you don't. You really only
Oh.
need like a brief culling of this to actually get it to display this latent picture, because it's not gathering any information. It's stored.
Oh.
Yeah.
And by the time you have this conversation, it's already done. And of course, you would see this.
I kind of assumed that you have some information on Inagoda.
She's staring at this with a bit of wonder and a bit of frustration. None. We didn't even know that this anomaly existed until you brought the cartographer core to the Inquisition.
No teams have been sent.
As far as the location goes, we have a small amount of them that have gone north. And we have yet to hear from most. The furthest reports that we have are those that reach the Chromatic Mountains, the nature of which we've only been able to scour from what remains of our tomes that describe the area. And from what we have heard back from our cartographer teams, much of the nature of those mountains have changed. We're not sure if this has to do with the omen, or if this is simply the ever-changing nature of Helios itself. Either way, we have very little to report in terms of making it out northwards. And minus select few, us in this room, as well as those that were touched by the Startographer, are the only ones that know of this phenomenon. I was hoping to get a bit more insight unique to each of you, given everything that you had heard from Mobash.
Did you get the reports of what he said?
I did.
Did you get the part about the second king?
I did.
And
How
did you...
is his recovery this day?
He's recovering quickly, given that he had not perished for very long before the resurrection. His improvement is remarkable. I imagine in the next day or so he should be well on his feet.
I imagine if he is feeling more energetic after his ordeal, he could provide a more accurate testimony. Additionally, the reason why I initially created this device I used prior was to grant him the ability to be more specific in what he has seen, to show us.
After you had left, he elaborated very little. And that wasn't just because he was exhausted. He made it explicitly clear to anyone who attempted to gain further insight that the information that he carried was sensitive. Most of what he knows is carried secondhand, as the more telling information originated from you. And she gestures towards the cartographer, which will broadly, minus Garrick, of course.
Just a small pat. Not you, buddy. I apologize.
Yes, that has been something I've been meaning to speak more about with the others here. I wished to speak of it last night, but it seems you all had other plans in mind. Regardless, from what he has told us about these memories of the future and other details regarding it, I find the implications disturbing. Not only in the fact that what we will do, where we will go, is predetermined by some external force, but the implication that we have been changed beyond ways we do not know. My current theory is that when we were granted these visions, these memories, as it were, that led us to the Startographer were somehow suppressed or removed when we entered his device that granted us the core here.
Did he mention that this was intentional?
Shrugs.
No, I don't believe he did. I'm uncertain if the Startographer knew of the information we held. Only that we were destined to meet him.
Well, when we said it before, it's like we knew it had to happen this way.
I mean,
Have any of you interacted with any of those who knew you prior to joining the cartographers as of late?
Been trying to get to that, but seems my request to see my brother hasn't been fulfilled quite yet.
I talked to my father.
Did your father... Well, did he speak of noticing any differences within you? Different behaviors at all?
Just that they talk a lot about the Inquisition recently. But
Unsurprising.
other than that, not really. Also, that there was a mage that wanted to transmogrify metal, but that's unimportant.
Transmute?
I don't know. He didn't say the words. I don't know the words. Maybe?
Talking about changing another metal into another, that would be transmute. School of transmutation.
Well, that's not really important either, as well.
No.
He did make it readily apparent that Nashira seemed to be the catalyst of these memories of the future. I naturally assume Nashira is still within the Inquisition's custody.
She is. And we have her isolated for the time being.
The recent happening with the rings, did she get anything from that?
Curiously, since that happened, she's been all but silent. Almost despondent. I'm not quite sure what to make of her behavior.
I look at Rin and Mayarks. And then she's going to sit upright and look straight at Akoda, like turn full body towards her and say, I would like to request an audience with Nashira.
Granted Obash's warnings, you judge this a safe course of action?
Yes.
And what of you others? As she's looking towards Ren and Mayarks.
What was
say you?
Bosch's warnings exactly with her?
So, I have to recall my exact DM wordings here, but from both what he was saying directly and indirectly, you get a feeling that what he chose to disclose was selected very carefully.
So it's not really a warning of him, like, saying, don't interact with Nashira, you might break the time-space continuum.
Just don't interact with her, you might not like what you hear.
It's
It's
interpretive.
I apologies, Dagny. I am of the belief that we shouldn't really interact with her.
We needed to talk to her.
Need is a strong word.
Fine then, maybe we don't need to talk to her. But I want to talk to her. I need to know. I
do
want
believe
to know.
Speaking with her could be illuminating in some aspects. Although, I did receive the distinct feeling from Obash's testimony especially regarding these memories of the future, that this information that he possesses and that we may still do to an extent, as well as Nashira, is extremely dangerous. Some external force has given us this sight, for lack of a better term.
And yet she's the only one alone with this information. If she's the one reeling with this, she deserves to have someone to be able to comfort her in that.
It is uncertain if Nashira still remembers all of these future memories. After all, she did go through the same experiences as us.
From everything we can gather, it would appear that she has suffered the same amnesia. We've studied her extensively. Some methods more invasive than others, admittedly. Although there's no signs of deception.
If you can recall from Obash's testimony, he specifically stated that Nashira seemed to play a key role in us obtaining these visions.
That's what I'm saying. If Nashira is able to connect with these rings, then she may be able to see something that not even the Inquisition can.
I think the information that we don't have for very good reason. I'm pretty sure getting that information could endanger all of us.
Then you two don't have to talk to her. I can talk to her alone.
I did not say that. Speaking with her more about what she knows is nothing but beneficial to us. I am more advising caution when it comes to these visions of the future.
How do you know that it could be beneficial? Again, it could be detrimental.
It would only be detrimental if we were to change it.
Perhaps
knowing alone may do that. Granted. It's a matter of if this information is to be recovered now, how would that affect the trajectory of the future versus if it were to be revealed when you initially deemed necessary prior to your amnesia?
Then she doesn't need to tell me anything. Just let me talk to her.
I'm not barring you from accessing Nashira. I simply wish to understand the risks and factors involved before we do this. Because if I do, there may be no going back.
I risked so much to be here. I miss my entire livelihood to be here and work with the Inquisition, to work for the cartographers. How much more risk do I have to take?
Roll persuasion, Dagny.
$10.
She considers your words. You are certainly due for some reprieve from everything that you have sacrificed. That's not in question. But in dealing with affairs we understand frighteningly little about, all avenues must be considered. All points of view must be concerned. That is the nature of the Inquisition's work. At least one major aspect of it. That's why we're so involved in all of you. Almost more than any other cartographer patrol thus far. Or perhaps even in the future. So much has happened to all of you. It can't be just a coincidence. Undoubtedly there are connections. It's only a matter of whether or not we can ascertain them before it's too late. Or perhaps, if we ascertain them too early in this case. Nothing is clear, nothing is guaranteed. It's straining even my own thoughts.
I understand your desire for haste, Dagny. We have not yet come to a decision as to what we will do in regards to Nashira. We need to speak more of the implications and what we know before we act. Reckless decisions get people killed.
She's just kind of facing towards, I'm guessing, the center of the table, just looking down. Her fists are kind of clenched. Doesn't say anything.
I think we should probably head north, and if nothing comes of it, then Nishira is our next goal. That is my
Akoda
belief.
would rise out of her seat. I've already taken these points into consideration, and I believe it best, given everything riding on your shoulders, to let the four of you make your next call. However, Garrick, I have noticed you've been shockingly silent. Given how inquisitive you are with the stone, you seem ill-concerned with everything going on here. What are your thoughts? What are your beliefs?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts about this situation. Where would you like me to start?
Whatever you believe most helpful. After all, you have a unique perspective on the world, do you not?
I guess so. Well, given that things are as they are, I'm inclined to agree with Mirix in that going north is the best avenue we currently have. But I also don't believe that blindly going north is going to help us much.
We are
Has anyone...
blind no matter what direction we take. The only solid lead that we specifically have is searching out more startographers and inspecting the initial impact site.
I second that.
But, we've seen those stars coming before Highshide. At least according to what you've told us. Has anyone tried plotting out where they're landing as of yet?
We have rough coordinates for most of the arcs that we've seen. Now do bear in mind that this has never before been observed, and has only recently started cropping up in the last day or two. There have been rumors of similar object behavior in times prior, but they've never behaved like this. They've never come anywhere close to our land, and they may simply be those of stargazers telling tall tales. Suffice to say, I have nothing concrete for you, unfortunately.
An
Rin,
inspection of these impact sites would be paramount.
Rin,
What?
do you think you could use your drone, or whatever you call it, the Seeker? Whatever. Do you think you could use it as a messenger? Whatever we find, we can bring it back, or Seeker can bring it back for us?
It is capable of doing so, yes.
Because I do not believe it'd be beneficial to come back immediately after we investigate those, unless it is dire.
So, you are suggesting we move to the northern site, learn what we can, and send our findings back with Seeker, while we continue heading northward.
Correct. Yes.
That is the most intelligent thing to come out of your mouth.
Get a point of inspiration.
I'm going to
I
choose to
agree
take
with
that
you.
as a compliment. Thank you.
Akoda would speak up. I will let the details of your plan be discussed amongst yourselves. I will be around momentarily. I would think long about your next actions. There are many eyes watching each of you, and they may react in a number of different ways depending on which steps you take.
I have a request.
Yes.
Put it explicitly in like some rules or some sort of guard notes. Do not shoot the floating cannonball.
Floating cannonball.
His
He refers to the drone. Regardless, I have already implemented a measure to inform nearby people of its affiliation.
and of not nearby people.
With rapid developments in arcane technology, I doubt that anyone is going to try to shoot it. In any case, I will leave you to come to your final conclusions. I have a few things I need to wrap up of myself. And without even giving a goodbye, Akoda steps out, giving you all the room alone.
Goodbye.
We are all in agreement of that being our next expedition, then.
I vote for it. That's one.
I
Keep
mean,
in
I don't see
mind
where else to
that
go.
this is the next expedition. As for our immediate action in regards to Nashira, that has yet to be decided.
Well, I still don't know much about this person, to be honest.
Rin, can you hand me the little mind thought thing? The picture box?
Very well. Here, simply place your hand on this part there, and envision in your mind's eye on what you wish to project.
I am just going to project the whole ass fucking space sequence.
Okay. It's a bit nebulous for you to take in, Garrick. You see a starscape, a swirling, glowing vortex of some kind, a jet of white shining light being projected out of it, and what appears to be the bright stars of, it almost looks like spirits. Maybe this is what souls look like to you, that are surrounding the beam. It's very abstract and doesn't outwardly say very much.
Also going to kind of specifically focus on Nashira's and Yarvan's, and obviously show off that I won my fight.
You would see Mayox triumphing against a pack of gladiators in spatial combat as they hustle among the stars, as it would then disseminate and would reassemble into Nashira, speaking to a constellation among the starlight that takes manifestation into a form of star serpent, as it were. And you can see her gazing into this as though all she had ever wanted lay before her, but she somehow lay reluctant. And then Gervon's, as there is this small, pale, gaunt girl that grasps his arm, that has a strange visor grafted onto her face, something arcane, and the way she moves is very robotic, almost as if everything is labored, and she takes like a single step and it's very shambled. And he walks away from this figure longingly, sullen. You would also get a good view of Nashira. I'm assuming you can see that.
Yep.
This hole.
As she is consulting the stars. And you would also get a good look at Garvan, which I lost where he is. Here he is.
To apparently the Inquisition just walk out of the fucking building.
Well, that's not what she said. Let's say poorly worded it that they were keeping tabs on him and he somehow got loose.
Yeah, no, I'm being extremely sarcastic.
Oh, all right. And yeah.
Now that you are caught up, that is what they look like. That is what they encountered in space. I think. Just looking over. I'm just going to call it space. And that is why nobody really likes the idea of Gerban. Except, well, I don't really care either way. Or, I care now, but not before.
To inform you further, Garok, in terms of Gerban, he quite literally attempted to kidnap a child.
Not the exact intentions, but effectively.
You guys have some very strange bedfellows.
I don't think you made it any better.
These are not fellows that I would willingly saddle up with.
By comparison, I feel rather normal, which is very strange.
How do you think I feel?
Right.
But, I personally, again, think we shouldn't really interact with Nashira until we have literally nowhere else to go.
Why?
I feel like she has information that we shouldn't really have. If we know it, we might fuck up somewhere.
As I said previously, these visions of the future, I believe, or at least theorize, that she has lost them as well. That is a whole bag of insanity in and of itself. More specifically, what I, and what I believe Dagny to be more fixated on, is her connection to this star beast, as you have shown with this vision, as well as any inclination of why she acted as the catalyst, as Obosh said.
I mean, I, again, personally don't believe we should interact with her, but that is the group decision, rather. Her magic probably isn't bad, but it can't be entirely good.
We are most likely going to be asking questions regarding her history, regarding this creature and what she has done previously to incur its interest. See what she remembers, if at all anything, and see what we can glean from there, without being informed of future events that might, for lack of a better term, change the timeline. Even as nonsensical as that is.
If you want to interrogate her, that's on you, but I would prefer to be a little bit further away. Like, didn't she say that she, didn't Akoda say that she wasn't very talkative?
She's been silent.
More or less.
Mirks, we are quite literally stumbling blind. We have a singular lead that is concrete. Beyond all that, it's all unreliable hearsay, rumors, and theories. What we have here, the Startographer, the core, these visions, they can lead us on the path that would help the most. Do you understand that?
Yes, but that's kind of where we should be heading, is where the original Startographer clearly wants us to go.
And we are, regardless of what we learn from the Shira. These are two separate matters.
I understand that, and I am saying we should probably avoid the first one.
What is the original Startographer? Is it a human?
To bring it up on your fucking iPhone.
Yeah, you have no idea. You really don't.
No, I'm
You
asking
didn't
this
see
out
an
loud.
ounce of skin.
Do we still
Yeah,
have
I'm
the
telling
legend
you.
lore?
You still have the Scrolls of Legend lore?
We could use them on the Shura.
I don't know if it works that way.
If they are of importance, then it would.
It would tell us... Well... Yeah, if it fails, it still tells us something.
And you have more than one.
That is a possibility. I will think on that. Regardless, your decision to simply avoid Nishira is your final conclusion.
Kind of, yeah.
Alright. Dagny, what are your thoughts?
We should go to the north. We need to figure out what these stars mean and why they're landing where they are, like where they're coming from. The whole purpose of it all. And you claim that Nashira is dangerous, that what she knows and telling us could affect the future.
That is a possibility. I do not know for sure.
You don't know if things have changed.
To be quite honest with you, I don't know anything. From Obash's testimony speaking about the changes that we underwent, I do not even know if I can trust myself or my own mind.
But even he was very guarded in what he was able to reveal. He wanted to wait until we were alone with him. I certainly believe that much. Nashira is doing the same. But she is basically locked in a box, while Obash is simply healing.
There's nothing we can do about that in particular. The Inquisition is very stern on whatever they want.
She pushes herself away from the table and stands up. Well, if I can't go to the box, then I'll go to the healing. And she starts to walk towards the door.
That's an understandable reaction. Well, I'm going to go and see where that goes.
So much for the voting process. Alright.
I do think that we should go to the stars first, but clearly that's not going to happen.
Before we all go running off,
She'll stop her as she reaches the door.
I agree that the treatment of Nashira and her current circumstances are less than ideal. However, before we go to her, I believe we should visit Obash once again to see what we can glean from him in regards to these visions and their danger without
That's where-
speaking overtly.
That's where I was going. You don't want us to see Nashira, so I was going to go to Obash.
My mistake then. Very well, let us go then.
She'll open the door.
Any further movements from any party members?
Nope.
And with
Loud
that,
sigh.
you would all
I just straight up misunderstood what she said.
you would all head out of the door and would be on your way to find answers. And we're gonna end the session there.
Eat.
Christ. I'm like, hey, does anyone have opinions on fucking timeline shit? No. Okay.
There you go.
Look, until we have timeline magic, it's not like we can do anything about it anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about like the implications. Like, fucking, we don't have free will. All our fucking decisions are preordained. Does that not bother you?
Also, just you're asking the one person who would probably say no.